Hello, book people. My name is Red, and I am making a YouTube channel to talk about books. I used to have a YouTube channel. I used to post a whole lot of videos when I was younger. I was probably about 10 or 11, and making videos in my bedroom and reviewing slime and making dog treats and stuff with my dad. It was kind of all over the place. And in 2021, I did make a reading related video, but I didn't really continue on with that because I was nervous and I didn't think that what I was making was all that interesting. But I'm saying, why not? Why not do it now? Because I read a whole lot and I like talking about it. Some of my favorite content creators out there in the world of booktube or bookstagram, book talk are probably Lexi, who is Newly Nova, or Mel Reads. I really like Books and Lala as well. She does the Literally Dead book club, which I've been a part of this year. First ever book club that I've been a part of online, and I've been keeping up pretty well, which is cool because I kind of worried that I wasn't going to. I've read pretty much every book so far in the book club on my Kindle, which is a really nice way to keep up with it. But yeah, it's been really fun, so she's cool. I watch a whole lot of other things. Honestly, I'll pretty much watch anybody talk about books, so I just have, the few favorites. In terms of myself, I kind of want to do a similar thing to the people that I watch, talk about the books that I've read, talk about the books that I want to read, maybe make reading vlogs. I just want to be able to sort of document my reading and talk about it because I think it's really fun and it's one of my biggest interests. So I'm going to go off of my reading journal here and I am going to talk about the books that I read in May. So the first book that I read in May was Pattern Recognition by William Gibson. I rated it a 5 stars, which I think this year mostly I've been pretty generous with what I rate highly. I think before I was a little bit harsh because I was worried that I wasn't really enjoying what I was reading and I didn't want to overrate it. And then I realized that it really doesn't matter and I can sort of just rate things based on vibes if I want to. So that's what I've been doing. I've been just relaxing a little bit more in terms of how I'm rating my books. And I thought Pattern Recognition was a really well-rounded novel. I really enjoyed following the main character, Case Pollard. There were a lot of niche references in the book, and if I didn't have somebody recommend this to me and give me the knowledge that I needed to understand these references, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. But because I had someone who had read it prior sort of explain to me the little bits and pieces that aren't super important to the plot, but definitely add something when you read it and you can pick it out and go, hey, I think I know what that is, or I know what that means. It just really enhanced my reading experience. It was very different from what I usually read. Generally, I'm into thrillers and mysteries and horrors. Sometimes I dabble in romance, but generally it has to be a fantasy romance. But sci-fi, which I think you can call Pattern Recognition sci-fi, isn't usually my thing. So it was an interesting little peek into the world of sci-fi. And I think a pretty good gateway, just, if I wanted to get myself situated in that genre, I think it was a good place for me to start because it was pretty grounded in just normal fiction, if that makes sense. I'm kind of going through these a little quick, but I kind of want to keep my first video short just to gauge how I feel and how editing goes and things like that. So I'm going to keep this a little bit closer to like rapid fire reviews. I'm not really reviewing them. I'm kind of just, I'm giving my thoughts, but I'm not like fully reviewing them. Anyway, the second book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which I'm not super into YA, but I think that this was a really solid book in that genre. It was a mystery, and it had some thriller elements, and it really kept me guessing. I couldn't tell who it was by the end. There were some really good twists in it, and it kept me guessing. Pip as a main character was so much fun. I loved reading her inner thoughts. I thought that she was super funny and very witty, and just the way that she went about trying to solve the mystery, I thought was so much fun. Because YA is for a younger audience, I think it does sometimes come across a little more juvenile to me. So I have a hard time wanting to actually pick up books that are young adult, but this was really solid. I don't really remember why I decided to read it, but I just picked it up one day and I I read it really quick and I thought it was really fun. The third book that I read in May was Butcher and Blackbird, and I didn't really read it. I listened to it on audiobook, and it was my first audiobook ever, which was quite the experience. I'm not usually super into basic romances like that, but you know what? I don't think you can call Butcher and Blackbird a basic romance. That was pretty intense. It's definitely closer to my type of genre, you know, a little bit gross and a little bit gory and a little bit scary even. I don't know if I would really call it scary, but it was bordering on it at times. I thought it was so much fun. Rowan and Sloane were just firecrackers. Like, listening to them speak to one another, and because it was on an audiobook, listening to their voices was just, it was so much fun. I was listening to it, this is crazy, I was listening to it like on the way to school, on the bus. Sometimes I'd be looking out the window just like, oh my god, this is happening right now in my ears. But it was really, really fun. And I thought that it was a really interesting take on romance, because I feel like most people wouldn't venture into horror territory where you have, you know, your main character in a cage after she has murdered somebody. This is the very beginning, I'm not spoiling anything. And then the guy shows up. I rated this a 4 stars, and it would have been a 5 stars if there wasn't a specific trope that happened toward the end. I'm gonna say what the trope is, so if you're not interested, just like skip, I guess. It felt like there was sort of a miscommunication trope toward the end, but I guess it wasn't really miscommunication as much as like the stakes raised, and so there had to be a sort of miscommunication. But just the way that the end went, and the reason why they like got upset, were the reason why Sloane got upset at the end, just sort of frustrated me. And I know that's a little ridiculous because of the situation. I'm really trying not to reveal too much, but I don't know. I didn't really like the way that all of that played out. I think that romance novels always end a little silly with that last little bit of conflict. So that's what made it a 4 stars for me rather than a 5. Second last book that I read in May was The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn. Finally, a book I can hold up, because everything else was either Kindle or audiobook. The Grown Up. I love Gillian Flynn. If there's anything to know about me, it is that I love Gillian Flynn so much, which is funny because I have only read Dark Places, Sharp Objects, and The Grown Up. I have not read Gone Girl. I have seen the movie. I thought the movie was fantastic, but I own the book. I just have not read it yet because it is daunting. It is so big. Well, it's not that big, but it's big enough that I've been a little bit afraid of it. Anyway, I was feeling like I needed to finish a book, and I did not have the energy to finish whatever I was reading at the time. So I picked this up. I got it a while ago, and I just want to talk about how pretty it is. I think that the cover is so cute, and the back I think is also really cute. But yeah, The Grown Up. This is a story about a woman who works as she gets paid to do stuff for people. And I believe the front of the shop is a tarot reading place. So our protagonist ends up working at the front of the shop doing sort of like tarot readings and stuff. And this lady comes in and she sort of seems closed off. And through a little bit of questioning and multiple meetings, our main character figures out that something is wrong with this woman, something is wrong at this woman's house, and she decides to do a house visit, and things sort of spiral from there. I thought that this being so short did not do it justice whatsoever. I thought if this was a fully fledged novel, that it could be really good. But there was something about how quickly things unraveled. Obviously, it's like not even 100 pages, but the way that it unraveled and how quickly was really frustrating to me. I felt like so much of what was going on was handed to you on a silver platter. A character would literally just say exactly what was going on, and I was like, I feel like there needs to be more build-up and more slow release of information rather than, you know, word vomit. So, in that respect, I didn't love it, but I don't do well with short story collections or novellas or anything like that. So I think maybe it's just a me problem, because I think it was really fun and I love Gillian Flynn's writing, but there was something about the fact that it was just so short that knocked it down a peg for me. So I rated it 3 stars, but still it was really fun. And yeah, I've got this cute little copy of it, which I think is also really fun. And on to my last book for May. I talked about Books in Lala earlier and how she has Literally Dead book club. So the book that I read at the end of May was Sisters of the Lost Nation, which was the May book club pick. The book is about this girl, Anna, who lives on a reservation in, I think they're in Louisiana? Maybe? I can't remember. I feel like they talk about New Orleans a lot. I could be totally wrong. Maybe I'm going crazy. Anyway, so she works as a sort of like maid at this hotel, and there's this mystery going on at the hotel with some missing kids and a shady boss. And there's also a lot of familial drama. And there's also a lot of conversation around just life living on a reservation and life as an Indigenous person, as Anna and her family are Indigenous. I did rate it a 3 stars just because I found there was a whole lot going on. There was Anna and Anna's relationship with her sister, Anna and Anna's relationship with her mother, her father, her grandma. This, I think she was the storyteller or the story keeper. There was a woman that Anna was very, very close to who kept a bunch of historical texts in her trailer, and Anna was very connected to her. So she would go and borrow books and then trade them back in for other ones and things like that. So Anna had so many relationships with so many different people. And then on top of that, she's bullied at school. And then there's her relationship with the people she works with. I just feel like there was so much going on in Anna's personal world that it was hard to follow at times what was going on. There's also weird time jumps that at first I didn't really understand when they were happening. So it sort of did my enjoyment a little bit. But I still thought it was really, really fun. And I kept picking it back up and being really excited to read it, which is always a good sign. You always want to be excited when you're reading. So that about wraps up my first video, and I hope to post again soon. I really want to make a sort of TBR video, maybe not TBR for June, but just a TBR going forward, because I have a lot of unread books that I want to log. So I think it'd be fun to just show you guys all of the books that I have that I need to read. And maybe I'll also do a sort of reading journal update or something. I want to just figure out book things to talk about. So thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked listening to me talk about books, and if you did, I hope you come back to listen to me talk about books. And to do that, you can subscribe. And yeah, if you're watching and you have a favorite book, you can let me know in the comments. I hope you'll join me again in my next video.